Parte 2, Discurso de Aceitação do Prémio Nobel da Paz, lida em nome do Laureado.
Our gatherings became intimate encounters of thousands. We embraced, we cried, we prayed. We understood our struggle was much more than electoral. It was an ethical struggle for truth, an existential struggle for life, and a spiritual struggle for good. With less than a year before the presidential election, we had to unite every democratic force and restore trust in the votes. The primaries became that moment, a self-organized civic effort that built a nationwide citizen network unlike anything Venezuela had ever seen. And on October 22nd of 2023, against all odds, Venezuela awoke. The diaspora, which was a third of our nation, reclaimed its right to vote. The son who had left cast his ballot alongside the mother who stayed. Lines stretched for blocks. Turnout was so overwhelming that ballots actually ran out. We trusted the people, and they trusted us back. What began as a mechanism to legitimize leadership became the rebirth of a nation's confidence in itself. That day, I received a mandate, a responsibility that transcended any individual ambition. I felt humbled and profoundly aware the weight with which I had been entrusted. Threatened by that truth, though, the regime prohibited me from running for president. It was a harsh blow, but mandates belong to the people. We set out to find another candidate who could take my place. Edmundo González Urrutia stepped forward, a calm, brave former diplomat. The regime believed he posed no threat, but they underestimated the resolve of millions of citizens, a plural, vibrant society that in all its diversity found unity in a common purpose. Communities, political parties, unions, students, and civil society stood together and worked as one so that the voice of a nation could be heard. We were 3 months from election day, and almost no one knew his name. But votes were not enough. We had to defend them. For over a year, we had been building the infrastructure to do so. 600,000 volunteers across 30,000 polling stations, apps to scan QR codes, digital platforms, diaspora call centers. We deployed scanners, Starlink antennas, and laptops hidden inside fruit trucks to the furthest corners of Venezuela. Technology became a tool for freedom. Secret training sessions were held at dawn in church back rooms, kitchens, and basements, using printed materials that were moved across Venezuela like contraband. Finally, Election Day arrived on July 28th, 2024. Before dawn, lines wrapped around blocks. A quiet, trembling hope filled the air. Our live tracking showed turnout rising across every state and town. And then the electoral tally sheets, the famous actas. The sacred proof of the people's will began to appear. First by phone, then WhatsApp, then photographs, then scanned, and finally carried by hand, by mule, by canoe. They arrived from everywhere across Venezuela, an eruption of truth, because thousands of citizens risked their freedom to protect them. Confronted with our overwhelming victory, the regime issued a desperate order. Soldiers were to expel our volunteers from voting centers and block them from receiving the original tally sheets they were legally entitled to. But the soldiers disobeyed. Edmundo González Urrutia won with 67% of the vote in every state, city, and village. In every state, city, and village, every single tally sheet told the same story. Within hours, they were digitized and published on a website for the world to see. But the dictatorship responded with terror. 2,500 people kidnapped, disappeared, tortured, homes marked, entire families taken as hostages. Priests, teachers, nurses, students, anyone who dared share a tally sheet was hunted down. These are crimes against humanity, documented by the United Nations. State terrorism deployed to bury the will of the people. Some of the more than 220 children detained after the elections were electrocuted, beaten, and suffocated until they repeated the lie the regime needed, falsely incriminating themselves of being paid by me to protest. Women and girls in prison are right now being forced into sexual slavery, made to endure abuse in exchange for a family visit, a meal, or the chance to take a bath. And yet, the Venezuelan people did not surrender. During the past 16 months in clandestinity, we have built new networks of civic pressure and disciplined disobedience, preparing for Venezuela's orderly transition to democracy. That is how we reach this day, a day carrying the echo of millions who stand at the threshold of freedom. This prize carries profound meaning. It reminds the world that democracy is essential to peace. And more than anything, what we Venezuelans can offer the world is the lesson forged through this long and difficult journey, that to have democracy, we must be willing to fight for freedom. And freedom is a choice that must be renewed every day, measured by our willingness and our courage to defend it. For this reason, the cause of Venezuela transcends our borders. A people who choose freedom to contribute not only to themselves, but to humanity. We attain freedom only when we refuse to turn our backs on ourselves, when we confront the truth directly, no matter how painful, when love for what truly matters in life gives us the strength to persevere and to prevail. Only through that inner alignment, that vital integrity, do we rise to meet our destiny. Only then do we become who we truly are, able to live a life worthy of being lived. Along this march to freedom, we gain profound certainties of the soul, truths that have given our lives a deeper meaning and prepared us to build a great future in peace. Therefore, peace is ultimately an act of love. This love has already set our future in motion. Venezuela will breathe again. We will open prison doors and watch thousands who were unjustly detained step into the warm sun, embraced at last by those who never stopped fighting for them. We will see grandmothers settle children on their laps to tell them stories not of distant forefathers, but of their own parents' courage. We will see our students debate ideas passionately and without fear, their voices rising freely at last. We will hug again, fall in love again, hear our streets fill with laughter and music again, and all the simple joys in the world that we have taken for granted will be ours. My dear Venezuelans, the world has marveled at what we have achieved. And soon it will witness one of the most moving sights of our time, our loved ones coming home. And I will stand again on the Simón Bolívar Bridge where I once cried the thousands who were leaving and welcome them back into the luminous life that awaits us. Because in the end, our journey towards freedom has always lived inside us. We are returning to ourselves. We are returning home. Allow me to honor the heroes of this journey. Our political prisoners, the persecuted, their families, and all who defend human rights. Those who sheltered us, fed us, and risked everything to protect us. The journalists who refused silence, the artists who carried our voice, my exceptional team, my mentors, my fellow political and social activists, the leaders around the world who joined us and defended our cause. My 3 children, my adored father, my mother, my 3 sisters, my brave and loving husband, who've all supported me throughout my life. And above all, the millions of anonymous Venezuelans who risked their homes, their families, and their lives out of love. To them belongs this honor. To them belongs this day. To them belongs the future. Gracias.
A standing ovation and thunderous applause from the assembled guests here in Oslo City Hall. After today's Nobel lecture delivered by Anna Paulina Sousa on behalf of her. Este website pode ajudá-lo a melhorar a sua leitura e compreensão auditiva em inglês. Recorrendo a IA, divide as frases em segmentos curtos e fáceis de entender. Com o leitor, pode ajustar a velocidade, fazer pausa ou recuar para compreender cada frase. O site disponibiliza tradução em 20 idiomas, facilitando a aprendizagem. Basta escrever engnest.com no seu navegador e experimentar.